Hi, welcome to Ear for Fear. This is Rick, and this is the podcast that talks about scary movies or movies trying to be scary. Today, we're going to be talking about 2018's Hereditary, joined by everyone's here today. This is a treat. We got Darren, we got Morris, and we got Jake, and they're all in the house.
What's up?
Hey, the Creep Crew.
The Creep Crew. Before we jump into Hereditary, let's do a quick synopsis. A grieving family begins to unravel cryptic and increasingly terrifying secrets about their ancestry. The more they discover, the more they find themselves trying to outrun the sinister fate they seem to have inherited. All right, guys. So Hereditary. This is directed by Morris. You have to help me on this. Is Ari Aster?
Ari Aster, yeah.
He directed Midsummer, which I can tell you I have not seen. Have you guys seen it?
I have.
Darren?
No.
Jake, you haven't seen it.
I have
huh?
Wait,
not
did you
seen
say
it yet.
Midsummer.
I've seen it.
Did you?
Yes.
Okay, so I haven't seen it. When I saw the trailers, I just it looked like something.
I thought it was good.
Yeah, I liked it.
Yeah.
Really?
I didn't initially like it, but yeah, it was it was good.
Okay. But you guys know my taste. What am I gonna like this thing? Because I wanted to give it a chance because I liked Hereditary a lot.
Honestly,
you wouldn't.
50-50.
I wouldn't like it. Okay.
I don't think you would.
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
So yeah. So he has two, right? This and Midsummer.
Right. He also had a short film.
I thought he also did. Who did Witch?
Oh no, that wasn't Ari. I don't.
That was the same production company. I think
Yeah.
was that A24
A24 or something
yeah.
like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
which I didn't like.
That was Robert Eggers.
Robert Eggers.
Yeah.
It had as a similar vibe. to
Similar.
Witch.
Yeah. I mean, I would almost say that some of these A24s all kind of have that vibe,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
Whoever's in charge of creating the trailers for those A24
Yeah.
films is doing a great job. Because
Yeah,
every
right?
single one has caught me.
Yeah.
And then I've heard bad things about Midsummer from people I trust, and I haven't gotten around to it yet.
See,
so.
watching the trailer, I'm like, I don't think I'm going to watch. I don't think I like this thing. And The Witch, I hated. I hated this movie. I crap on it every chance I get. I just didn't like it. But some people love it.
But didn't it look good when
It
you
did.
saw the trailer?
Yes, it did.
Yeah.
It looked good.
Yeah.
And I think visually the movie was cool.
Right.
I just didn't like the movie
And,
itself.
and who is that actress that played in that movie?
Oh, that's what's her the one from
Oh my god.
Joy's in there somewhere.
Yeah,
Anna Joy Taylor.
Anna Joy Taylor.
Anna Joy, is that her name?
Anna Joy Taylor?
She's
Sounds right.
She's in the Queen's Gambit, which
Yeah.
she was
Yes.
phenomenal. And oh my gosh, have you seen that?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah,
And then
Queen's
she's in
Gambit.
that new
And then she's
One
in
Night
the-
in Soho.
Yeah, the Edgar Wright new movie. It's coming out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyways, Hereditary. Morris and I had seen this back in 2018. I liked it, and then I rewatched it last night because I hadn't seen it since then, and I still like the movie. I was texting Morris last night. It's such a bummer of a movie.
Oh.
Like,
Yeah.
Mhm.
like you feel so
Oh, yeah.
honestly shitty watching this movie.
Well-
like it's like I told Morris, like a gut punch.
Well, dude,
Yeah.
there's nothing redeeming about this movie
it's
at all.
just
Nothing at all.
it's so depressing. Like I almost wanted to watch, I don't know, like cartoons afterwards just to
Lighten the mood.
lighten the mood or
Yeah.
something. I just felt, yeah.
You know, speaking of like dark kind of, brooding stuff, that Toni Collette,
Yes.
she had said that that she didn't initially want to do any more movies that were like dark and
Right.
but that she had read this script and was like, oh well, I mean, I got to do it, you
Yeah.
know. But I don't ever really know her to be some major horror movie.
She wasn't she in
This
Sixth Sense?
Wasn't that her in Sixth Sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, she was
That
in
was
Sixth
another
Sense,
great
and I thought
performance.
she was in something else horror related.
Oh, probably a bunch that I can't
I
really
can't
think
even
of
think
right
about
now.
it, but I thought there was one other movie that was like on those
Well,
lines.
do you know what movie permeates my entire thought process when her name comes up?
Hold on.
Little Miss Sunshine.
Little Miss, I was going to say Little Miss Sunshine. Yeah.
So when I read articles talking about how she's like, oh, I don't want to do anything else that's dark. I just want to do like comedic stuff now. I'm like, well, what stuff have you done? Like, I don't equate her to like horror.
In a way, that is also a movie about a very dysfunctional family.
Right.
True.
It is. It is. But she was great in this. I mean, Jake had emailed me and he's like, dude, I watched this. And he's like, how did they snub her on the Oscars? Well, because they just don't, they don't, it's almost like they don't recognize that genre, I guess.
Yeah.
Horror movie, you mean?
Yeah. But
Yeah,
you know what?
yeah.
You could argue that, this is horror, but you could almost argue that this is just almost like just a drama, right? I mean,
A family
just a
drama.
dysfunctional, family drama, a very, very fucked up and dysfunctional family.
Dude, they were whack. In fact, I mean, I totally get it, but throughout that movie, I was like visibly angry at the way she treated the son.
Yes.
I'm like, oh my God, if I was that son, I would hate you so hard.
Yes.
Like,
I was thinking that same thing last night watching
Yeah.
this.
yeah.
Like, she
This-
even says that, right? Like, I didn't want you, or I tried to abort you.
Yeah, and then she slaps her hand over her mouth because she can't believe she said it. You know,
Right,
like this
right.
this movie it's a movie that is about mental illness, and yet nobody in the family actually suffers from mental illness, which is why it's so cool to me. There is no mental illness. These are external
Forces.
forces
Yeah.
descending on this family, and it's driving them all insane. But none of them are actually mentally ill.
Now, was the grandma?
Well, the grandmother supposedly had dementia, but did she have dementia?
No.
I'm not sure.
Dude, all these things were set in motion. I mean, her dying was part of all of this.
Yes.
Right.
So did she really have dementia? I almost argue that she probably didn't. It was just part of the whole ploy.
It was the ploy.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Because, I mean,
well, I would say that even when, you mentioned that she, told her son that, I wish I'd never had you. I think there was an element of her knowing that she never should have had children, because the underlining was she knew that what her mom was doing behind
Agreed.
the scenes
Yes.
when she never clearly knew. But I think she had that feeling.
subconsciously,
I
I
agree.
think she knew.
Yeah.
I think she knew.
Especially what happened with her father
Mm-hmm.
and what happened to her brother.
Yeah. Because
Yes.
he basically hung himself, right?
Yeah.
And do you think because there's that scene where she's talking about, I think she's at the group, and I don't know if she was at the group or she was talking to Joan, and I guess we should say full spoilers, everybody. But when she said that she was sleepwalking and she had threw what was it?
Turpentine.
Was it
It was
turpentine or
paint
something?
thinner.
Paint thinner,
Right.
on both of the kids. Do you think, though, subconsciously she knew that she probably should have? Again, you don't want to kill your kids. Okay, I'm being very clear here.
Right.
But she maybe knew subconsciously what the mom was doing.
Right.
That down the road, this was going to be some bigger thing.
Exactly.
I agree with that 100%. That all of what was perceived as her not wanting children or her trying to murder her children was her trying to stop this inevitably horrible thing from happening.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, that's what, And it's just sad. The whole family were just pawns, right? I mean,
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
just pawns. And it just, I'm watching this and I was so pissed off. Like, I was so mad. It was nothing. I mean, it was just, and there was really nothing they could do. I mean, for the sake of the movie, everything that they wanted to happen happened. Okay, I get it. But
Right.
in reality, okay, the deer in the road, is he going to swerve? Which way is he going to swerve to hit the pole and decapitate Charlie? I mean,
Yes.
all of these things have to be perfect. And it did. It was perfect and it happened for the sake of the movie.
Yeah.
But come on, we all know there's just too many variables. It's not going to happen.
And
Right.
I think if you chalk that up to was the Charlie decapitation facilitated by the cult, or was it facilitated by the demon? And if you bring a
think-
supernatural element to it, I think it's more
Fate.
acceptable.
Fate. Well,
Fate.
that's
Right.
And so fate, and in our Halloween episode, that's going to come up because in this movie, in the classroom, they are talking about fate, and I think one of the students says something about pawns in this hopeless machine. So was it inevitable? Like, these things were, again, all these things were set in motion a long time ago. Was it gonna happen no matter what? So no matter what, whether it was a deer in the road or whatever it may have been, it simply, how about Annie seeing Joan at the craft store?
Yeah.
I mean, she had to see her in order to have that conversation and then go back and do the seance.
Yes.
So it's like all these things had to transpire and perfectly fit in order for all these things to happen. So I guess the question is, was all this inevitable? It was going to happen no matter what. It's just we saw it transpire in this scene, and this scene. But what if it didn't? What if the deer was in the road, but he swerved to the left instead of the right?
Well, they would have just figured out a different way to kill him.
You're absolutely
That's all.
right.
I just think these are just things put in motion by that cult.
Yeah.
That, to make the events move forward.
But again,
whether it pans out that way is irrelevant. They would have figured out another way. So.
Right. Again, so their fate was already decided upon a long time ago.
Oh yeah.
Because again, they're just pawns to this whole cult or this whatever they were.
The larger game.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah,
so I don't know.
And you have to admit throughout the entire movie that there was all these members behind the scenes. They were watching everything.
Yes.
And that's why, she ran into Joan. That's why,
that was not an accident.
No.
That was not a coincidence.
None of that was an accident. Like at the funeral, when Charlie's looking at the necklace and she turns and sees that guy and he's got that evilest of smiles. And we see him later on in the movie.
He's the same guy at the end, right?
He's the same guy. And it's like all these things. And it's just like, so let's let's do the characters really fast. We got Annie, that's Toni Collette. Steve is her husband, that's Gabriel Byrne. Peter, Alex Wolff. Charlie is Millie Shapiro, and then Joan. I think we could argue those are probably the 5 main, right?
Correct.
The main characters of this. Annie is her.
Wait, don't forget Paimon.
Well, is it Paimon?
Paimon.
That's they refer to him as one of the 7 gods of hell. I was trying to do some research and I didn't find that. I found that, he was a demon and he was, I don't know, quote unquote, buddies with Lucifer. But I mean,
no, he was a lesser king, like in hell.
But Annie being the mom, Steve the husband, or the dad, Peter, son, Charlie the daughter. I mean, that's kind of and Joan is, she is really second in command once the mother died, the grandmother passed away. She's kind of now.
That girl was so weird looking.
Who?
Millie Shapiro.
Oh yeah, she is.
Great face. Great face.
For this, it was just perfect, right? But she really, that's the way she looks in real life, right? Other than, I'm sure she not as, maybe they added some stuff, but she's fitting for this movie.
Yes, she is.
I mean, I don't know. Is that mean?
No.
I'll tell you this. This is going to sound so stupid. The Peter, his damn fucking mole, I couldn't help but look at it through the whole movie. Like I couldn't see him. All I saw was the mole. And through the whole
reminded me of Fred Savage from the Austin Powers movies. Yeah.
Yes. I just concentrate on that. But the whole thing is just fucked up, man.
It is.
Everything that happens to this family, none of it is good. And I felt as this movie went along, I felt more and more for Peter. Like, God damn. I mean, all of the,
So, not a human character, but another character that you could say is her dioramas, man.
Oh man.
Yeah. I mean, because in a lot of ways, I think the way they did the cinematography for it was it was almost like the house. It was their house.
Yes. Right.
Yes.
And so the scenes, they would like slowly zoom in on this diorama, and it would actually morph into the.
Oh yeah.
Yes. Like the opening scene. For instance.
Right.
Yeah. I wish they did more of that. They only did it a couple times. I kind of felt like I enjoyed it. I thought it was cool. I mean, maybe it's one of those situations where we do it once or twice and then it's, it stands out more than you doing it, say 10 times, because then it's more so of like almost like a trick,
Yeah.
So if you do it, like we've talked about dolly zoom before, right? On this podcast a million times. Like if you do it once, it's a stylish kind of cool shot. But if you do it 5 times, it's like, oh, okay, well, we don't know any other tricks. And so we're just kind of,
Yeah.
Yeah. Some of them are better than others. Like I could take 10 of these over 10 of those stupid feast tropes that you know, on that movie Feast, where every time they introduced a character, it was like they paused and like, you know, put like the little splash screen kind of all of Borderlands on there. You know, it just sort of,
This is a stylistic choice.
Yeah, that's one of those things you can do it in one movie. The second time you see it, it's a blatant ripoff, and then the third time you see it, you're like, "Fuck this."
Seriously.
Yeah. But a lot of horror movies do that. This one doesn't, but I'm saying a lot of movies they borrow from.
But I think that this particular effect is subtle enough. It's just not really in your face,
It is.
and so it's more ambiance than anything else.
Yes.
Yeah, I was going to say from the opening shots of them zooming into that bedroom that you felt this sense of dread throughout the entire movie.
Yes.
Yeah. It just felt like, man, this is going to be a fucked up movie.
Yes.
Even before the fucked up shit started happening.
It is. And it started with the music. It felt Shining-esque. You know, at the beginning of the Shining, where like the music kicks in and it's just like again a shot to the gut, and you know it's nothing good is going to happen here.
I really felt bad for that kid.
Yeah.
The son. Oh my God,
I did,
man.
definitely.
He never had a shot.
No, he didn't. And that was the whole thing that demon was trying to do, was the only way the demon can take possession of his body was to get him into a state of essentially suicidal. He had to have no hope. Like he just his
broken completely down.
Completely down.
Well, what I read was that Paimon will possess the most vulnerable.
Right.
Yeah.
And so this was their intent, their intent to, because I never felt he was like this strong, I don't know, I'm not going to say character, but like you got, I don't know, what is he, 17? Let's say he's 17 in the movie.
17, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't get that impression that he was this kind of strong teenage boy. Like I got he was kind of weak, and they knew this and they played on it.
Yeah.
And so the more these things kept transpiring, the more vulnerable he became, and it was easy for Paimon to possess him.
Well,
to take over
he's dealing with childhood trauma from the incident with his mom as well.
Yes.
So he's got a really complicated relationship with his family. And at the same time, so did you guys get that Paimon was actually in Charlie at first?
Yes.
Because there's the whole story about how she wouldn't let her mom anywhere near her son. But when Charlie was born, she let Charlie near her.
Yeah.
And that it seemed, in the way that Millie Shapiro looked, it looked like physically like she had a demon in her.
So I thought that it was that the grandma first, they chose Charlie for so the demon apparently prefers
men.
Yes.
Men.
Yeah, you see that. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
Right. And so then what was the shift? Because I thought it was that at first Charlie was going to be his.
Yes. And it's strange enough that she has a also male name.
Right.
And
right.
I think, wasn't there even I think Charlie even says to the mother, like, grandma always wanted me to be a boy or something like that. So,
right.
Because I think Paimon, he's a man, and prefers a man,
a male host.
A male host.
Mm-hmm.
But I was looking up that originally he was like a goddess. So the actual Paimon was a goddess. I mean, Charlie would be the correct host, but
and Paimon had a female face, right? It was a man's body with a female face.
Yep. Yeah.
And so, I mean, but I just never felt like he was.
And plus, she was always doing that clucking sound. That
click. God.
Which he then did at the end.
Yeah, and I thought I read something that maybe the Paimon had, there was something with noises or clicking noises.
That was what he would, apparently that was like a thing.
Yeah, that was a thing.
And then when he arrives, like there's cymbals and big booming victorious music, something like that was said in the movie.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I just, it made sense, right? I mean, it makes sense because obviously it has to pass down to, it has to be a blood relative, and what's his name? Peter just, I mean, he just makes sense. He seems very weak.
He was the original target.
Yeah.
That he did. Grandma didn't have access to him as a kid, so she chose Charlie. But then as they reconciled, quote unquote, their family, she was then able to gain access to Peter.
Correct.
Yeah. fate again.
And that's probably when they
Yeah.
decided
really
to decapitate her.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
They're like, we're done with her.
Yeah, we're done.
Well, supposedly he's in order for, I guess, this to really like for Paimon to be here, I guess, to take over and to award you riches, he likes sacrifices. He prefers 3, and he prefers them decapitated.
Mm-hmm.
Which is okay, whatever. I'm sure that's his thing,
Because the drawing of him,
I don't know.
the drawing of him in the book, he was
holding
riding
3
a camel and he has 3 heads.
3
yeah,
heads.
yeah.
So I mean,
one of
but
those.
what if only were 2 heads? Would he be like, all right?
So one of the scenes that was just really jacked was after she got decapitated. He just left her. He just drove. All I know, he is in total shock. I mean, he just drove home.
I think that's
and
a
just
realistic
went upstairs
reaction.
to go to bed.
Yeah.
So Morris, that is absolutely. I was watching that scene last night, going, I probably would have done that.
Yeah,
Exactly what he did.
Complete denial.
Because he was upset, he was distraught, he was crying, and then what the fuck is he supposed to do?
And that's part of the breakdown of him too, because he vacated, man.
He did.
He was gone. He's no longer inhabiting this, and that's part of the breakdown that allows Paimon to get in at the end. Is that he had to go somewhere else. Yeah.
I would have done so. This relates. So when I was in like 7th or 8th grade, I got a real shitty report card, and it was bad. And I thought I could simply take the report card and change the grades with like a stupid pen that didn't even make nowadays. Oh man, I could kill it. Like it would look really good.
Yeah.
But like say, I don't know what I would have been at 7th or 8th grade. And I changed it. I gave it to my stepmother. She then gave it to my dad. And I remember him getting home and me being in bed, laying there like he did, waiting for the reaction.
Yeah.
So, and then when he got it and he reacted and I'm like, and it was all quiet and I could hear it. It reminded me of him laying in bed, waiting for his mother's reaction.
Yeah.
I could get in his shoes and feel that, you know? And so I probably would have done the exact same thing.
When I was a kid, I inadvertently started a small fire near my house. And so I was around the corner. I ran, I got home. One of the kids we were with had already talked to the police and the firemen when they came. And I started helping my mom unload groceries in the driveway, just knowing that like at any moment now, it was right around the corner from my house. She saw the smoke.
Oh, shit.
And I'm sitting there and I know the right thing to do is to come clean and be like, it was me. I just did that. And you are just completely psychologically, physically unable to tell your parents what you did.
Yeah.
And you just sat there and waited for someone to come along and handle that part for you. So he was letting her find it out for herself.
Yeah.
Incapable of confessing or telling her what happened.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you have that conversation with your mother? Hey, by the way, Charlie's head is, it's a, you know, it's
well,
on,
you would have to have that afterwards. You think about that, you know, he didn't do that initially, but he's going to have to explain why is she decapitated in the back seat, because what would explain how that happened? He would have to.
And he never did, though. And that was a big part of the blow up at the dinner table was that he never did. He was still incapable of doing it, and she was incapable of confronting him about it until she had been sufficiently provoked to do so.
Which I got it. I could see her doing. There are times during this movie where I want to strangle Annie. I'm like, are you kidding me? I think you're part of the problem with what's happening here.
Well, for sure.
You know, but then I'm like, well, I agree with her. But I mean, what was it supposed to? I mean, two things only could have happened. He did what he did, which I think a lot of us would agree we'd have done, or immediately got on the phone. Mom, oh my God, Charlie's head is laying in the ground. I mean, I don't know what you do.
You call the police and realize they'll tell her what happened. So
I mean, there was an accident. I guess you could say that. Mom, there was an accident.
Right.
We're out here. I'm calling such and such. I don't know, dude. I mean, it's such so shitty. Like it's just nothing is good.
But he doesn't have a safe and trusting relationship with her.
He doesn't.
Like, he does not have a healthy relationship with her. And despite that, I never got to the point where I hated Annie or anyone else in the family. I literally did see all of them as helpless pawns who were being dragged along through this fate and this destiny.
Exactly.
They're all dealing with their own trauma.
Even Annie, you know,
especially Annie.
She was, you know, from this grandmother that was the head of this priestess of this cult. You know, she obviously, her son that committed suicide was supposed to be the person to take over.
Yeah.
And then maybe she had Annie. Maybe Annie was younger.
I don't know.
Sounds like it.
Maybe.
But then, she was and maybe in the grand scheme of things, she was a disappointment because she was a woman.
Right. I didn't think about that.
And then, the wheels were already in motion, and Annie's whole life, her whole existence was a disappointment. And then, maybe Annie tried to have a normal family by marrying and having kids, but then it's like having the kids she always knew, this was wrong.
Yeah.
I think on some level she was always aware of what her mom was up to.
Right.
I think
and that's
so.
why she
Exactly.
wouldn't let her around the family. That's why she knew she had to break contact and try to move on without her.
So really, I mean, there's no winning for Annie.
No.
There's no winning at all, right? If mom's close, we see what happened.
She was doomed
She's
from the
not,
beginning.
I mean, it's like, why are you keeping us from, it's like a no-win situation for her.
Yeah.
A great scene going back to the miniatures. And it's one of the things that makes me think this is a great film is like they always say in film, show, don't tell.
Right.
So you never have any single character explaining that there is a cult and what they're up to.
Right.
It's everybody has to discover it. You're finding this information out by looking at the page of a book. Or when you see the miniature of her mother trying to breastfeed Annie.
Oh my God.
You don't,
Jesus
it's not a story that she's telling Charlie. It's not a story that somebody's telling. It's one still of one, diorama that she created shows you exactly how fucked up this family is.
That's all the audience needed. Yep.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. I was looking at thinking, that's just wrong.
And even back to the brother. God, sorry.
Yeah, I was just saying that's one of the things I love about this movie that it does so well is it doesn't rely on the jump scare.
Yes.
You know?
Oh my God. And the scares are earned.
Slow burn.
Yeah.
Dude, there were some.
I mean, there were some scenes where I had to watch it 2 or 3 times before I noticed.
I did the same thing. I rewound. I get on my thing and I go rewind 30 seconds and I'm like, oh shit, I don't remember seeing that the first time.
Yeah.
I love when either the hair stands up.
Mm-hmm.
Last night it was the hair on my legs. when it was, I don't know why it wasn't the arm, but
There's a lot of hair.
It was all exactly more hair. It was on my legs, and that to me
just happened
it's
to me
effective.
thinking about it.
Right?
Like,
Yeah. When there's a couple things like when she's towards the end when she's up in the corner.
In the corner, man.
Oh
dude.
my God. Dude, I am like I'm scared. I am like so scared for this kid. Or the scene where he comes down slowly, methodically, comes downstairs to find his dad is burned up.
Oh yeah.
And turns around and that guy is literally butt naked
in
and
the
he's
doorway.
got the evilest butt
And
naked.
he's still smiling like an
Still
asshole.
Smiling,
Yeah.
and it's just so fucking evil, man.
Yeah.
And he was there in the darkness, and then he pulled forward into the light,
And I
to where you
believe
could see him.
I believe the scene right after that, didn't she like chase him?
She chased
He
him.
goes
Yeah.
up into the attic, and then she's like up on the ceiling, starts beating her head.
I'm
Like
fucking
on
scared the hell out of me. And it's just,
Sorry, mom. Sorry, mom.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you get to that like that just full on insanity, you're like, you weep. Like Morris was saying, they earned it. This has been building up dreadfully over the course of the last hour and a half. And when you're here, it's not like something you see in the first 5 minutes of the film. They slow burn it. They built up to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man. It's just, yeah. Now, did you guys catch the little writings on the wall? The one in Charlie's room, and I don't remember. It looked like it said Satan, but I think it was like it had Satan-y or something. It had the little Y on it, and then there was one on in the parents' room. It says something like Zazus or something like that. Did you guys catch it? And then there was like some other small little like pin
so there is like the cult symbol.
The symbol
was on the pole.
Yes.
The decapitated. I believe it was also a pendant.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
the
on the grandmother.
Necklace, but there was little like it like if I took like my pen and I just wrote on the wall really small, there were random ones, and I started looking it up, and it looks they're different words for like say demons and stuff, but one of them translated to open, and I thought, well, that was interesting because I mean, when she did this, when Joan basically tricks her into doing the seance with the rest of the family members, you've now opened up.
Yeah.
Whatever, because the thing was, which I thought was great. It's like, the execution that you have to be able to do with Joan, She brings her to the house, you know, she sets the mood, the glass moves and all these things. And you have to convince someone that maybe isn't believing in this crap, right? I mean, she's skeptical like most of us would be with a seance, right?
Mhm.
She didn't take her long to convince her. Here, if you decide to do it, here is this whatever you got to read. Well, it's in a different language.
Yeah.
But she was just so willy-nilly with it, like didn't even do any sort of research and just decided, well, I'm just going to do it. I'm going to read it. I have no idea what I'm reading. And I have now opened up the rest of the family to Paimon and everything else. And that's why then now you start seeing the light when
which is Paimon.
Which is Paimon,
right,
with him. And then you see little glimpses of it. You don't really get it with the dad. The dad is just essentially trying to hold this family together somehow. And it's just, you know, and he can't.
Yeah,
because again, inevitable.
He's the outsider because he's the only one that doesn't share the bloodline.
Exactly.
So,
exactly.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, I mean, it's just, again, fate and it's all fate, inevitable, right? I mean, you know, it just had to be perfect. It all had to work, and it did for the sake of the movie. It works, you know. I mean, she has to believe in the seance. And the seance is believable,
right? Well, she was also very grief stricken.
Yes,
true.
And that's part of like the psychology of cults too. Is that the idea is that you have to break something completely down to open it up to receive like the psychology and to create it. So the opening is also the breaking down. So
I mean, it worked. I believed Joan. Like, you didn't know any better. Yes, Joan is there for you, and she's
caring
looking for you. She's caring, and she's looking for your best interests. Like, if you didn't know any better,
she looks like a trustworthy person.
She
I would have
does.
bought it.
I mean, and the stuff that she taught her clearly worked.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
I mean, so
it did. She was
proof's in the
really
pudding,
good.
you
Yeah,
know.
I guess that's why you're second in command of this
Right.
thing. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, so I mean, it everything. I mean, works well. I mean, everything that I think that you're supposed to like the director, when he wrote this, he had everything. Like, I think some of the actors basically said he had everything already drawn up. He had storyboards. He had done 2 years prior to even filming. This was his baby. He knew everything that he was doing, and he took the time to execute it, and he did with everything. You felt like the intent was to feel a certain way, and I felt it throughout the whole movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was I was just so deflated and bummed, and you know, and that was the intent, right?
Yeah.
I mean, of the movie,
the film's breaking you down at the same time the characters are breaking down. Yeah.
That's what I felt. I don't know about you guys, but I felt that way.
It took a while to recover.
I was just like, I had a pause it a few times. It was just so damn depressing.
Yeah.
I mean, it is.
I always thought Paimon took you.
I am vulnerable these days.
Now it's confirmed.
You know,
remember, I was watching this movie. My wife took my boys to a kid's birthday party. So I'm like, all right, this is the first chance I'm going to get. Because I can't watch this when she's home. Not her thing.
Oh, yeah.
Can't watch it when the boys are home. Don't want them seeing it.
Yeah.
So they were gone. I'm like, I got 2 hours. I'm going to watch this movie. I'm sitting in my bed, like holding my knees to my chest. And Sarah walks in and she just starts talking about the party. And I'm like, what? You got to come back. Just come back. I'm not in the right headspace to hear normal shit right now.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. Like, only 2 movies, and they're both recent: Hereditary and The Dark and the Wicked.
Yes.
The Dark and the Wicked, once that movie ended for me, I had to I stayed in my room for 10 minutes to try to process what I just watched and what was happening. And Hereditary did the same thing. It was,
for me, the first movie that ever kind of did that, not on the same scale, but it did, was Blair Witch Project.
Oh, really?
Remember when that was like just awesome? Like,
yeah.
It's one of those movies it's hard to go back to the context that you saw it in. You know?
It is, for sure. Yeah. It was like midnight. I think Tyra was back when she was first starting out of nursing. She was worked at the blood center.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and she had to do these mobile blood drives, and she was out of town. And it was like midnight. I'm like, I'm gonna watch that. I heard it's really good, so I watched that shit. It was in that house we were renting, which
that one in the pocket.
Yeah,
I remember that one.
Yeah, which already had a weird vibe.
Yeah, I remember you saying that it was a weird vibe in that house.
It did, yeah. Yeah, and so I was sitting there with Tyra's cat, and halfway through that movie, I'm all, Artemis, come here. I'm all like holding on to the Artemis. Yeah, seriously, I don't know what it was, but it was just. I think you're right, Jake. I mean, it's like context, like to it or something.
Yeah, it's like that. You can't go back to the headspace we were all in at the time. That was pre-internet. There was the viral marketing campaign of that. This was actual footage that was found. So you kind of know that it's not true, but at the same time, you're like, I don't have 100% confirmation that that's not true.
Yeah, it's true. Yep. We saw it at theater, didn't we?
Then, of course, watching it a second time or a third time does nothing.
Yeah,
because it's like
you're not going to be able to go back to where you were then. And it became a cliche too. Like the found footage became an entire trope. So.
Yeah, I mean, you could argue as one of the first. So it did it well. I mean, I enjoyed the movie, and there were some scenes that got me, like that ending. I'm like, okay, he's just standing there in the corner, and then it ends, and I'm like, oh shit. And I think Morris and I watched it. We saw it at the theater, and I think we probably sat there talking about it. That scene, trying to figure out and process that.
Yeah, like if you had gone into that scene and he's been disemboweled on the floor, it wouldn't have been as creepy as him just standing in the corner.
Yep.
Like,
yeah. And there's a lot of those things through this, through this.
Yeah.
So, and this is probably nothing, but I feel that obviously everything through the movie was calculated. There was a scene where Peter is smoking he's smoking a bowl or a bong or whatever. He was smoking in his room. And I think he was getting a text message from his friend, hey, party tomorrow night. And so he's smoking, and then he opens up the window to blow it out. And you see someone's outside watching him. Mm-hmm. Because
I didn't catch that.
Yeah, I had to go back, and I'm like, "Is there some?" Yes, it was you because it was cold out. You could see their breath.
The breath.
Again, they're watching everything that they're doing.
They're around the entire house, in the just
woods.
Property in the woods.
In the woods. Yeah. So there, when he hits the pole, and he stops there for a second, and it pans back, but it doesn't pan to the street. I don't know if you guys noticed this. It pans to like the side of the street, almost like in a ditch area. And I went back 3 times, and I'm not 100%. I'm probably about 80. I swore someone was sitting on a chair watching this transpire. Again, because it's all calculated. Mm-hmm. The deer was out in the road because it was, So I don't know. I mean, maybe you guys could go back and
give it another look.
Check it out. But yeah, it's just those I love little details. I love little things, and then you may not catch it the first time, but you catch it maybe the second or the third time, and I'm like, oh, this is cool, and so anyways. Yeah. So I think we're all kind of on the same opinion that this is a good movie.
Yes.
Great movie.
Which
is rare for these days.
Yeah, it is. It's a great movie.
Yep.
Let's talk about, we've kind of jumped all over the place. Anything in particular you guys want to maybe talk about?
Well, I did notice when Annie was trying to show the book to her husband and to burn.
Yes.
After he started to burn, did you notice that?
Yes.
I think that was the time that Paimon took over her.
Absolutely. Yes.
Because then she started to grin.
Because she was like she was crying like, oh my god,
hysterical, and then dead.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah. No, I get caught that last night, and it was yeah. I mean, you see this, right? Like Paimon slowly with the son, because there's a few scenes at the school, and you're like,
oh yeah.
And I had only seen it the one time, and I'm like, well, I know there's the scene where
he looks
he's
gonna look at his reflection.
Yeah, and I'm like, okay, and then I couldn't remember because it'd been a while. Was it a separate scene where he basically, because it's coming, he slams the head into the desk and he's all contorted and he's just, and
that
I'm like,
scene was freaky.
Yeah. Was that the same time when he raised his hand? Yeah, and he raised his hand and he was just contorted.
Yeah, it's contorted, and then I'm watching the reactions of the students in class, and they feel so genuine. Like I find myself when I watch any movie, especially 80s movies. And this is not an 80s movie, but say an 80s comedy, and I always try to pay attention to the extras in the background. What are they doing?
Yeah.
Like in Teen Wolf, at the very end where the
guy's got his dick out.
He's got his dick. I always want to see, because I've already seen the movie, so I know what's happening in the forefront, right? I want to know what's happening in the background. And I want to see What's going on? Like, is it just someone that just looks dorky and they're randomly, it's some stupid shit.
Who looks at the camera?
Who looks at the camera? What are they doing? It's just something I do, and I've done it for years. And in this, I already know that this is going to happen, but I want to know what everyone else in the classroom is doing. How real is it? How genuine does it feel? And it felt genuine.
It did.
They were scared. They were, concerned, and again, it's you can write it and you can try to do it, and then executing is something completely different.
And, I don't know what it is about me, but nose injuries, they make me cringe.
Because it doesn't stick to your nose. It's in your ears. It's in your eyes. It's in your throat.
It makes your eyes water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Every single time after that, when he had that, you just like,
oh God, I know, right?
Oh my God, man.
Yeah. Anything else? I mean, we can talk about all kinds of stuff here. I just want to know, is there something that just, like, maybe you guys just disliked, maybe something that just it resonated with you. Like
another scene that was gnarly was when she was with her
the piano wire.
Dude, that was not right.
Decapitation is definitely a theme.
God.
Yeah. No, that was not good.
No.
Going back to what I was saying about it's a movie about mental illness where none of the characters actually are mentally ill. There is a demonic force descending on this family. Going back to her brother, when she said her brother was schizophrenic and that mom was trying to put people inside of him, you realize he wasn't mentally ill. She was really trying to do that. And he killed himself in order to save himself from that.
Exactly.
At least that's what I gathered. I don't think anybody in her bloodline is actually mentally ill.
No. Then, I mean, it questions, like we said earlier, I mean, was the mom, she supposedly died from dementia and all these other things. No. I mean, was she diagnosed with dementia, or did you think it was dementia because she was doing weird shit?
I think it was an easy explanation to tell people, about these things when, that's the thing about the devil. The devil, what did they say? Or what's been said about the devil? The devil's greatest thing to
was convincing the world he didn't exist. Gabriel Byrne.
Yes. Convincing the world he did.
More usual suspects there.
Yes. That's right.
Also starring Gabriel Byrne.
Yeah, that's right. I haven't seen that in a while.
Yeah,
it's true though.
Yeah, he's behind the scenes of it all, and just playing the game.
Well, I mean, if you try, like when Annie was trying to explain these things, I mean, if I'm what was the Steve?
Yeah,
you're crazy. I look, you need help,
and he's a psychologist, right?
I think he's he's a doctor. I'm maybe a psychologist. I'm not sure, but I mean, it sounds crazy. Like when she's talking to him and try to convince him, he's just he's not buying any of it. And would you? I mean, this is crazy talk. Hey, there's a body up in the attic.
Right. He knows was stolen from the grave. He's just not telling her. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's so weird.
So all of these, I mean, right? I mean, I don't know. I guess if someone came to me and said all these things, I would probably think you're fucking crazy too. I mean,
it's another.
But is it because, let's say he is a psychologist? Well, he thinks differently than you and I,
right?
Or the normal doctor. I mean, right? I mean, if you're a surgeon versus a psychologist, I mean, maybe you think differently. So it's like, convince you and I, all of us off the street. Okay, well, it's feasible, it's possible, I guess. But as a psychologist, I don't know. I mean,
well, he did witness some paranormal stuff.
Yes,
he did. So only thing that I think of on that is like, shouldn't that have convinced him a little bit? That
I would say no. Like one instance of something you can't explain to a person with a scientific mind. I'm pretty sure I read or got from the movie or read somewhere that he's a psychologist. He's in one capacity or another, because he's also typing an email to somebody about Annie saying that he thinks she's having a breakdown of some sort. Mm-hmm. But he sees it and then he immediately, just like Annie did, he looks under the table. What made that move?
Right.
So I think he's still processing it with a scientific mind. Okay, I have an instance of something I can't explain. I'm not immediately going to go to the paranormal.
Right.
I'm just going to remain open to there is a
some
logical
sort of
explanation.
Yep.
So a couple things that maybe you guys could shed some light on that I was a little confused by. So Charlie goes out. She's in her room and she's, I don't know, I think she was cutting the bird's head off and making something, and we see the light. And, so we have that kind of feeling that either, Paymon's around or he's around. And then she goes outside, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she sees a woman and there's a fire.
Mm-hmm.
But then mom comes out. Was it in her head? Because mom would have seen the woman with the fire.
I think it was.
It was in her head. So this was something she was imagining.
Mm-hmm.
This wasn't simply like, because we know throughout the film they're around.
Oh,
this
yeah.
cult is everywhere.
Yes.
Like, so this wasn't just some random woman that was out. I mean,
Mom would have seen.
mom would have seen it,
Yeah.
right? So it was in Charlie's head.
Yeah.
And it's like, how much of Charlie was still like I mean, there was still Charlie there.
Yeah.
And it was just on, was Paimon just on the verge of slowly possessing her? Because I mean,
I thought that they were roommates in there.
Yeah.
Roommates in there.
And that kind of like her look, her physical appearance just looks like there is something inside fighting back and forth.
Yeah.
Like,
and do you think the clicking was Paimon?
Paimon.
Yeah.
So this wasn't like something she always did. Maybe it was something she recently started.
Yeah, because when Paimon entered Peter, he made the noise, right? At the end.
He did. Huh.
What I had read about that demon was that's what it would do. It would do this clicking
noise. And I thought I'd read something like that as well.
Yeah.
Huh.
Going back to Steve's, being a psychologist.
Yeah.
I did read that there was a backstory where he met Annie. I don't know if he was treating somebody else and she was there to see somebody, or maybe he was treating her. But there is a backstory where they are. That's how they met.
That's what you get for picking up on your patients, bro.
Really, right?
Don't do it. That's
red
unethical.
flag, buddy.
Which is similar to The Lodge.
You get burned in the end.
Oh, they had The Lodge. Yeah, another shitty movie. I hated that movie too.
That's funny.
I usually crap on the witch The Lodge every chance I get. I just didn't like them. I just didn't get it. It didn't work for me, but it's fine.
No.
Yeah. Other stuff. Anything jump out at you guys? Anything you guys disliked? Anything that bothered you?
The only thing I've got is that, and it's actually a compliment to the film, is that it told a small story. It kept the story tight and small. When you start thinking about what happens in the bigger aspect of this, like for instance, at the end, okay, Paimon has taken over Peter's body. What's he going to do now? Like,
Yeah.
What happens next? Or the little things like for a kid that has a nut allergy, they seem to always forget the EpiPen, or why it's all of those things that when you think about the decisions, it could be explained by the fact that this family is mentally ill, quote unquote, and they forget stuff, but you don't send a 13-year-old to go to a high school party with her son.
No.
Oh my God.
Especially one with a nut allergy.
Right.
Right.
Well, I doubt that she had a nut allergy because she was in her room eating peanut M&Ms.
Because you and I had talked about this when we originally saw this movie.
Wait, was that at the beginning?
So
when
that
she's
was
in
when
her room, that's when she's attaching the bird head and making that little idol.
Yeah.
She's clucking.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then
I didn't catch that.
Because I remember when you and I saw this, we sat outside. This was when we were over by Chevy's,
right?
And we were talking about that, and I said it looked like she had peanut M&Ms, but I thought she had a. You looked it up and it was peanut M&Ms. So she had this nut allergy. So the thing is who is it? Her nut allergy or is it Paymon's nut allergy? Because if Paimon is inside her, does he not have the allergy and so she can eat peanuts?
Well, she's sitting there and she's watching this girl chop up these fucking nuts.
Yeah,
and,
what was up with that, man?
And who
Like,
puts that many walnuts in a cake?
I chalk that up to like weird ambient stuff like that. Everybody in the film is a little bit creepy. Like,
see, part of me had the impression that she did have the nut allergy, but she just really love herself some shit with nuts in it, and that she just she's gonna eat it because she's a kid, and kids are gonna do the sort of things that aren't necessarily good for them to.
I almost think that the force took over, whatever evil force that there was, to where she couldn't breathe. I don't think she ever had a nut allergy.
Hold on a second, though. I thought, though, there was a scene in the movie where I thought the mom said, I thought she said it to the her husband that I bet you mom, which would have been the grandmother, made her, I don't know how you make someone get a nut allergy, but if you do something enough, do you become allergic to it? Because I swore Annie said that in the movie.
Interesting.
So it was just, again,
also,
part of this master plan. This
also, when it comes to allergies, though, one of the ways that you deal with that or try to get over an allergy is to slowly ingest the thing.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Maybe
Right.
we're giving her a lot of credit for the forethought.
Well, Morris,
let's go with
Morris used to be allergic to potatoes, and now he can eat them.
Yeah, that's true.
He couldn't eat potatoes when he was younger.
So
But I grew out of it.
Did you eat those little tiny little mini potatoes as you were like sewing ahead?
I did.
Slowly, a little bit.
Your little Lay's potato chips.
Yeah.
No.
I don't know. I mean, it's interesting. I don't know. I mean,
Well, we're doing, the thing where we're, hyper focusing on one little detail that's like,
I like
what
doing that,
made
though.
this movie great was you suspend disbelief in certain parts and you don't think about the larger context of what happens or what does this mean in that universe. I love the fact that the story, they kept it small. It's this family and this family only.
And then the isolation, right? The house is perfect.
Yeah.
The tree house is perfect.
I love that treehouse.
I mean,
That was a
yes,
great
that is
treehouse.
a kick-ass tree house.
Fuck yeah.
But it's
Second
everything-
only to the treehouse in the Monster Squad.
Monster Squad's pretty cool too. Yeah, yeah. But I mean, it's fitting, right? I mean, they're isolated. The house is isolated. Where they live is just, it's all isolation, which fits everything that's happening in this movie.
The
It's
trauma isolates the
Yeah.
family from the world.
And again, it's all, I mean, it's a credit to the director and his story and everything that he executed. It just works really well.
Yeah.
You feel all of this and I think that's why I was so pissed off during the movie, because I feel for everything that's happening to this family, especially the son. I wish there was something I can do and I can't. And that's a reflection of just a
It's
well
the
done
cycle
movie,
of abuse.
right?
Like
I mean,
everybody suffers, people who suffer abuse as kids also a lot of times grow up to abuse their own family.
Right.
Mhm.
yeah, stuff we can relate
It's,
to, huh?
Yeah.
and
But
no
I
matter,
mean-
nobody would choose that. Nobody wants that. It just happens. And that falls back to the theme of fate. Like sometimes it's fate.
Well, I mean, kind of the underlining here theme. I don't know. Maybe you guys would agree or disagree, but all of us have families, and we're all kind of fucked up, right?
Oh, every
Little bit.
single word.
May not be as fucked up as this cult,
You're right.
but we all have our variations of shit that goes on in our family. It may not be to that level,
Which
but
I
we
think
can
it's
relate
why,
to all of it.
and I
mean,
think that's why we can all took something from this is, and anybody who has a family that has some kind of trauma that you experience with your family, that's why we can identify this one. That's why it affects us so much. It's not Paimon doing it. It's the fucking family trauma
Right.
that's affecting us and giving us that dread.
yeah. What are you gonna say?
I was going to say every family has like that element of dysfunction.
We all, we're not. None of us are perfect. Our families aren't perfect.
Right.
We can go to a function and pretend like we're like at this ideal family, but behind the scenes, that's just not reality.
No.
It's not the way it is. I mean, we're all
Nothing's perfect.
We can
No.
ignore
Yeah.
it for short periods of time,
can.
but it bubbles
and
up
I'm
to
sure
the
we all
surface.
have.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm sure we all have at one point or another. You go to a birthday party and maybe before then you get in a fight with your wife or your husband or whatever, your kid. And you're now, I don't know about you guys. I know how I am. I don't let the shit go. I go to a function and it is now ruining my, the rest of the day or the rest of this event. I can't get it out of my head because it's fresh and that's how I'm wired. Shit gets to me. You guys know this.
Yeah.
I don't let shit go, and it just gnaws on me. So, and I've been in a position where, yeah, I got in a fight, and then we went to this, I don't know, it's Christmas or it's a birthday party, and I'm in a just jacked up mood, and I try not to be, and I try to disguise it and hide it because we all done it.
Right.
Yeah.
But Darren and Morris could contest to this. I don't hide stuff well. So if I don't like you, you pretty much know I don't like you, or it's just the way I am.
Yeah.
Other people, like if Morris doesn't like you, you're not going to know. He's good at hiding that shit. It's just this thing. So but everyone's different. But but we all have this shit, man.
We all put on masks, you know?
Exactly. We all wear a mask, man.
Yeah.
You know. So, anyways,
Even Jim Carrey.
even Jim Carrey.
Smoking.
I'm trying to think of like some other stuff that again, we decided we weren't going to do the norm on this episode, but I'm throw something out. I mean,
I got one. Cult members.
Yeah.
Now I swore that his teacher was one of the cult members.
Oh, maybe.
Did you guys pick up any? And then I started to wonder: are there any other characters that we saw in the film that ended up being cult members? Because I'm pretty sure his teacher, with the white beard, was one of the naked folk in the treehouse.
Oh shit!
But it could have just been another guy with a beard. That totally could have been me.
It may have been the one. Yeah.
So everybody that showed up to the funeral is in the movie scattered throughout as a cult member. So everybody that remember, she made the comment. Annie made the comment that I didn't know my mother had all these friends.
Yes, I remember her saying that.
But every single person there that wasn't the family, the immediate family, they were all cult members.
Jake, I bet you're right. I bet you the teacher was part of the cult.
Yeah, because we know the guy. You mean you're not going to forget that face. The guy that's smiling at the funeral was the guy smiling in the corner at the end of the film.
But then there was another guy.
Yeah, there were multiple. There were a bunch of people.
Even up in the attic.
I'm assuming they were all probably at the funeral, but were there other characters? And that's what I was thinking about when I do a rewatch. I'm going to look for it.
Were some of the kids at the party?
Exactly.
Or the grief counseling.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, and why do they always have to be nude? Is that a thing?
I don't know, man. It's
like, I don't know. I mean,
well, I think it was an homage to probably like Rosemary's Baby.
Yeah, probably. I mean, I could see that, but I mean, is it like a thing? Like you have to be nude? Like, is it
think about it? Old people nude make you feel uncomfortable.
Nothing is more unsettling than a nude old person.
Yeah, I was super uncomfortable. Like when he's in the attic. And he sees I think there was 3 people and they're butt naked and they're smiling and it's just creepy.
Yeah. And
it's unsettling.
Now do that exact same scene in your head and one guy's wearing like a Packers jersey. Like it's just not gonna it's not going to work.
Or the girls are all hot.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
It's going to take you out of it and put you into a completely different place.
That's true. I mean, and the idea was like, well, he had to die, right? Mm-hmm. And how else, and he's
being born.
And he flew out it was scary enough for him to jump out the window. He kills himself, right? I mean, I guess he's dead here at this point.
So yeah,
or is he just knocked out? Because then again, I'm a little.
So that's why I don't know. Is he dead or is he?
No, I don't
think he was dead.
Not at all.
Okay,
I think that was just the symbolic moment in the movie where he had
the lowest.
He left the building.
He had left. Yeah.
Okay.
He didn't die when he fell. I mean, I'm sure it didn't feel good. But
yeah. He face planted into the.
That's where he was knocked out. And then the light came in, and
we see the light, and then I mean,
let's talk about the headless body going up the treehouse.
Dude, that's like fucked up. It's so fucked up, man.
It is, seriously.
Who was that? That
was Tony. That was Tony Collette.
Yeah, I thought that was Tony Collette.
But the mom or the grandmother was already up there.
Yeah,
and
she was in the attic.
She wasn't in the
treehouse, right?
But then. Yes, she was in the attic originally, and then there was the symbol and
then Charlie's up there too.
Charlie was, but was that at the same time or was that later? Well, no, in the treehouse was Charlie's head. But we're talking about like when Annie first sees her, she goes up there, there's all the flies, which by the way, that was terrible CGI.
That was grandmother.
Yes, what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So grandmother's up there but in the attic.
Right.
But then towards the end, she's in the treehouse. Did they move her body to the treehouse, I mean, because
did she ascend?
Did she hover up in there because Annie?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Possibly.
Which is great because they don't explain.
They don't.
They don't explain it all. It's just kind of there.
And I'm okay with all of that. I would almost rather you not explain.
Another show, don't tell. Like they're showing you at some point or another, this power can levitate bodies. But you don't really need an explanation for that.
It could be simple that it was a fresh, I don't know, this is dumb, but I mean, she literally just was decapitated. So I don't know, the body's still kind of fresh, but what the mother's was sitting in a grave for a week. I mean, I don't know. I don't, I'm sure there's no rules to this thing, right?
All of these things occur with her on the wall in the corner and crawling across the ceiling. All of these things occur in absolute silence, which is awesome. It's not creepy. It's precursing to the ding 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 ding.
Because when you're alone in a room, you don't have a soundtrack.
Yeah.
That unsettling feeling that you're seeing on screen, you can relate to that in your own life of just waking up in the middle of the night and just looking at shadows in the darkness.
I've done it so many times.
God.
I can't tell you how many times I feel someone's looking over me. when I'm sleeping.
So I watch, I know that probably half, if not most of this stuff on this show is completely just whatever. But that Paranormal Caught on Tape.
Oh yeah.
So I'll watch that stuff, man, and it usually comes on in the evening. It's like right before I go to bed, and I'm not joking. At least twice a week, I wake up in the middle of the night because I got to go to the bathroom. I got to do something, and I'm halfway to the bathroom, and I start
looking
getting
around
in my head. I start thinking like, oh crap, what if like I suddenly like felt something tap me on the shoulder, and then I'll like run into the bathroom and I shut the door. I'm like,
just like, I don't want to die on the toilet.
Yeah, please, just let me get back to the bed. We get back to the bed and be all good. Yeah,
I more times than I can tell you. Like I feel that when I'm sleeping, because I typically try to sleep on my back. I can't sleep. I'm not a stomach guy. I can't do it. Sometimes I'll switch over to a side, and it just depends. But most of the time, I'm on. Let's say if I'm on a side, I'm on my left side, right? I feel that there's someone to the right on the other side of the bed staring at me. I feel the presence. And sometimes sometimes I'm like, I can't open my eyes. It's like that dream you have and you wake up, but you feel like you're catatonic.
Is it that you don't want to open your eyes, or is it that sleep paralysis?
It could be both. I don't know.
Maybe you just need a girlfriend, like someone to
we know that.
Just someone to fart in the middle of the night to like shake you out of the terror.
Take the covers from me and put the elbow in the side. I mean, yes, you probably are right.
So,
it's probably that.
Now I sleep next to someone every night, but at the same time, I've got a 7-year-old that at some point in the middle of the night is always walking into my room. And when I sleep, I'm off and on. Like I wake up and then I go to sleep. I wake up and I go to sleep all night long. Always have. But there's always that moment that I happen to be awake that my 6-year-old or 7-year-old now comes walking into the room. And so you hear like pitter patter footsteps, and it creeps me out every single time. It takes me 2 seconds to realize that's just your kid, dude. It's not a horror midget coming into the room to kill you. It's just.
No, what's funny is my daughters have a way of doing, because they do the same thing, but I can never hear them. I don't know what it is. Like all of a sudden, they're just in the room.
They're just there.
And kids walk fast, so there's a sense of urgency to their walk, It's creepy.
Goddamn kids.
You sure they're not doing it on purpose?
They probably are nowadays. Little assholes.
They might.
When I was a kid, I think I might have mentioned this last time I was here, but what I was afraid of, I read The Hobbit when I was 8 or 9 years old, right? And so Gollum being invisible was always the thing that when I was asleep and I'd have the covers over my head and my Gollum could be in this room right now and I wouldn't know it. So like, here's the deal. He can't touch you on any part of your body that's covered in a blanket. So and then you just stare down at your feet sticking out the bottom of the blanket and you just kind of kick the thing over.
Jake's making the rules for
that
his.
That sounds feasible though.
That's what I was afraid of as a kid.
Like when we did the hot lava thing, like we would jump from like couch to cushion. If we put a cushion on the ground and it wasn't the lava, we were okay.
You're making up the rules as you go.
They got a show. They got a show about that now.
What, the hot lava?
Yeah, it's called Floor is Lava.
No,
really?
I am dead serious.
God,
it is a show. It's called Floor is Lava, man.
Oh my God,
He'll make shows.
That's pretty funny. Do they have do they have shows where you could build like a cool, like when we were younger and we took like chairs and we took blankets and we took like a lamp and then we made like a fort?
Yeah.
They should have like a show that like you build like a fort, but like
it's probably going to be an offset of Floor is Lava.
Yeah.
It's like
it's an offset.
It's like it's spun off.
And dude, exactly what you would think a show like called Floor is Lava is.
It is.
It is.
What's
a bunch of infantile grown-ups?
Yes.
You're like, you need to get a job, man.
I don't. Oh God, where is? I think it's Netflix.
Really?
I think so.
Oh, now I gotta watch.
We're all gonna go watch this.
I gotta watch this.
Floor is Lava.
And no one better steal my my show idea.
Does somebody host it?
What's that?
Does somebody host the show?
Yeah, I believe so.
Tell me it's John Stamos.
No.
Oh.
Scott. I wish I could
Baio.
tell you. Right, Scott.
That's totally
That's awesome.
It's Danny Terrio.
Well, have you seen that show on Netflix with the was it called something Beasts, Natural Beasts, where everybody wears makeup and they're in like one could be like an ostrich man, and the other one could be like a monkey, and you're wearing like or devil, like the girl's
At least
a
there's
devil.
a creative aspect to that.
Yeah, and it's like blind dates, or not blind, blind dates, and they go on these dates, and then based on their personality, so you don't see what they look like, and you're basing it on how well the chemistry is, and at the very end, everyone takes off their makeup.
Yeah, we've peaked as a society.
Really?
Oh, just
a long
like
time ago.
the Avatar singing thing on Fox. I see the
yeah,
commercials
I
for
saw
that.
commercial looks so stupid.
I just wanted to shoot myself in the head.
Yeah.
So I watched exactly 2 of those episodes.
Oh my god!
of the lava
The
one?
floor lava shit. Yeah. Because I think it was like, I don't know, it was like a family member or somebody mentioned it, and that they had, it was Jan and Val. Yeah. They had watched it, and apparently, I don't know how far in they got, probably for way further than I got. But I'm like, what? Somebody made a show. All right. So
They've got nothing. They've got nothing.
And so I watched, I think I got to episode 2. And I couldn't do it anymore. It was just
They have a Lego show, and I've only seen commercials. And well, okay, hold on. I saw the commercial. I'm like, oh, and I was flipping channels one night. There was literally nothing on TV. I think it's Fox, and it's a show where you build like Legos.
It's called Master Builder, right?
Master
or something
Builder
like that.
or
Yeah.
something like that. And I'm like, okay, well, I like Legos when I was a kid. Let me give it. I gave it 5 minutes, and it was literally all commercials and like maybe 2 minutes of building.
So I guess these jumps and hurdles and whatever are tougher than they look, because the whole goddamn time I'm like, oh, just jump, you freaking idiot. Oh my God, it's not that freaking hard. Oh my God, you're sitting there like trying to plan it, and they're all being all cautious.
It's like a group of people that got fired from American Ninja Warrior. And they're like, this was my idea. All right, let's just change it. Just change it.
Totally.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
I don't know how we got on that tangent, but let's see. What else, man? Anything else? I think for the most part, we talked about all the stuff that we liked, disliked. It's a very good movie.
It is.
Yeah.
If anyone hasn't seen it, I would say, yeah, you definitely got to watch it.
I think it's one of the better, I don't know. I kind of call this psychological horror. Would you guys?
Oh,
Agreed.
absolutely.
It's one of the better ones out there. It's almost like that, like that should be like a blueprint.
Yeah, give yourself time to recover afterward. Don't.
Oh, absolutely. Like
don't
I said,
go to your
watch,
kid's birthday party after
Yeah,
this.
no.
So.
Yeah.
No, don't do that. Watch something really like I said. I watch cartoons after. Yeah,
In fact,
I don't know.
Yeah, stay away from
Smurfs
your
or something, I'm
family.
not sure. Yeah,
like stay away from your family altogether after you watch this.
for a little bit. Yeah.
Yep.
Other than that, no. Any other points, you guys?
I just want to say that since Ari Aster did this movie, did Midsummer, and then you guys really need to see a short film before he did Hereditary. It's called The Strange Thing About the Johnsons. It's pretty fucked up, and
so it's on the same line.
It's a family
stuff.
A family dynamic, and with Midsummer as well. It's a family dynamic. I think he's got this skill to make these movies so well. I think he's had enough time to process and kind of hone his horror.
So you think that he's just lived through a lot of this, and so he relates to it, and it's easy to convey it for him.
Possibly, yeah. But I'm really looking forward to whatever next thing he's doing. I heard he's doing like some sort of Viking movie next, but
I don't know.
Yeah,
Viking movie sounds cool. It's not horror, but that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe that was Robert Eggers. Hold on. No,
I don't know.
Because I keep mixing the two.
It's like James Wan going from this, and then I'm gonna do Fast and the Furious, or
Robert Eggers did the.
He's gonna direct the next season of Floor is Lava.
Floor is Lava. Yeah. Other than that, man, I was looking at any of my notes here. The only thing I thought was kind of cool was, because I was like going back to the whole severing of the head, and so I'm like, okay, well, is Paimon that was just his preference? Was like, hey, I'm cool with these sacrifices, but yeah, man, you gotta cut off the head for me, But no, what I read was symbolically, in taking off one's head, one is surrendering their ego. So, and I thought that was kind of interesting. I'm like, okay, I can kind of see that relating to.
That's interesting, which is that was kind of where I was starting to percolate when we were talking about like the old people naked bodies.
Yeah,
I just didn't really formulate it, but now that you brought up the whole ego thing, it could be that like they're naked because they need to be stripped of anything that would be an identity or like an ego or
Definitely, because I mean,
watched.
no one wants to see me naked. But
I saw
can tell you
something
that.
years and years ago. It might be one of those old HBO Real Sexes where they were following a group of nudists, and they were saying that people. Somebody had said on the show, people aren't revealing themselves when they take their clothes off. They're revealing themselves when they put their clothes on. And so you're. But in the same way, you're removing your personality and your identity when you take all your clothes off.
Yep.
All right, then. Well, there we go. There's the nakedness.
It's like completely stripped of any ego.
It's also
or
a
any
good metaphor for, psychological problems and, dementia, like the removal of the head, the brain is going someplace else. So.
Yeah.
So you strip everything down. I could see that. I mean, my ego, I don't think I have a huge ego, but if I was naked, it'd be no ego at all, man.
And that might relate to other horror movies that we've seen, like The Omen, with the decapitation in that movie, and as well like Exorcist 3.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot of decapitation in that.
It's definitely, I mean, that's possible. I mean, I think it's a good enough explanation as anything,
Yeah.
It's as good a cult uniform as
yeah, I mean,
Nikes and tracksuits.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, that's kind of Hereditary in a nutshell. I mean, ending's phenomenal. I mean, it's the treehouse thing. I mean, how fitting was all this taking place in a treehouse and that kind of ominous red light,
Yeah.
And,
Hail Paimon.
But I mean, I will say this, and again, I'm a little again, maybe clear this up for me. When Joan is so now Paimon is inside of Peter, and now they put the crown on him, and Joan is explaining this. She says, "Charlie." So is Charlie? I don't understand. Is Charlie still there? Is Charlie? Because she never says Peter. She says Charlie. So why was that? I don't have an explanation. Like,
I don't either.
Okay, so you guys didn't get it.
Maybe Paimon and Charlie were completely intertwined.
And maybe that's what's happening.
They were one.
Because I mean, she not at all said anything about Peter.
Well, maybe Peter was totally gone at that point. There was no element of Peter in there.
Well, I know. I mean, you have to do in order to, and I wrote this down because I knew I wouldn't remember. But when successfully invoking Paimon, he will possess the most vulnerable host, which I've mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
Only when the ritual is complete with Paimon, it has to be kind of locked into the host, and then once it's locked in, they have to do the other ritual, and maybe that's what the other ritual was, and then it's. But I don't think it really still answers why. I mean, I don't know. Maybe Charlie and Paimon is one and the same now. I don't
very
know.
true.
So I don't know. I mean, there's still some stuff that goes unanswered, and I'm okay with that. I just was curious what your guys' thoughts were.
The fact that it makes you ask questions means it's done its job.
Yeah, it has. Yeah. So, all right, man. Well, I guess that's Hereditary.
It's not shoving them down your throat.
Yeah. Anything else, you guys, before we wrap this up?
No.
All right. Everyone, thanks again for coming on out. Appreciate it,
Thank
as
you.
always. I think next time all of us are getting together and we're going to do 1978's Halloween. So anyways, everyone out there, take care. You listened all the way to the end. We appreciate that. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Ear for Fear Podcast, Twitter at Ear for Fear, and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Ear for Fear Podcast. You can also check out our website, earforfear.com. There we list news and events. We're available on all the main platforms, so make sure you tell a friend. We hope you come back and get an earful.